Hey everybody, I'm here today to tell you what to do if your car doesn't start. Now before I start this video, there can be many different things that can cause your car to not start, but I'll be outlining the three main things and how to start with the diagnostic process to sort of get to the bottom of the problem of what's causing your car not to start. Now let's get right to it. Number one, the first thing is the battery. Now, the battery is often the main thing that will cause a car not to start. The most likely thing that will cause a car not to start. Now, what happens is you should actually do a little quick few tests to see if it might be your battery, okay? So, what you want to do is you want to first look, before you even get into the car, if your car doesn't start, you want to think, did I leave any of my interior lights on? Did I leave my headlights on? Did you leave something on overnight that would cause your battery to drain? Okay, that will be the first indicator. If you realize that you left your interior light on, that's the first indicator that your car is not starting because it's probably your battery. Then you want to turn on your headlights and look if they're dim. If they're dim, there's a good chance that it's your battery. Check your car clock. Oftentimes, when the battery in a car completely drains, the clock will reset to 12 o'clock. So with that being said, check your car clock and see if it has reset. See if the time is correct or if it reset at some point between the last time that you shut your car off and now. Now, if you realize that it's probably your battery, what you want to do is you want to pop the hood of your car and you want to take a look at your battery. Now check if the terminals look corroded or dirty or loose, because corroded terminals, dirty terminals, or loose terminals on a battery connection can cause a battery to not be able to transfer power to the components of the car. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you clean the terminals and the posts of the battery and tighten them up. Then you want to jump start the battery, and hopefully at that point your car starts, because if your car starts when you jump started the battery, then that means that it was the battery that had caused the car to not start. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your battery is bad, and I'll explain that in just a moment. You want to then take your battery to get tested at a mechanic shop or at an automotive shop to see if your battery is bad. So once you've jump started your car, immediately you should be taking it to a mechanic shop to test your battery to see if the battery is bad. If the battery is bad, replace it and you've probably found your solution. But if your battery isn't bad, then it might actually be the alternator, and I'll explain why. That's the second thing it can be, the alternator. So number one was the battery, number two was the alternator. The alternator is what actually charges the battery. The alternator takes the moving components of the engine and uses that power, basically, to sum it up in layman's terms, to charge the battery. So if your battery was not providing power to the engine, if your battery was dead when you first went to start the car and you jump started it and it worked, and your battery's okay, it can be because your alternator was not charging the battery. So the battery itself might be okay, it might be in good condition, but your alternator is not doing its job to charge the battery. So if you had to jump start your car because your battery was dead and your battery is still good when you take it to get tested, then it's probably number two, probably the alternator, because the alternator wasn't charging your battery. And what that means is that you can jump start your car, your battery is going to allow you to start the car and drive, but your alternator is not going to charge the battery. So the next time you try to start it, it might not start because it won't be recharging. It will need a jump start to start every time because it won't be recharging. And last but not least is number three, which is the starter. The starter is probably the lesser likely cause, but it's still a possible cause of your car not starting. Now, if it's the starter, then you're probably not going to hear a cranking sound at all. But the problem is that if you don't hear a cranking sound when you try and start your car, that might be because of the starter, or it might be because of a completely dead battery. So it's hard to diagnose the starter other than when you've checked your battery and you've checked your alternator and it's not those two, it's probably the starter. And you can use a multimeter to check your battery and your alternator. There are many different methods. Just be sure to look it up. I've done videos on them in the past. Be sure to look it up and you can find out how to do it. But basically, in my opinion, the starter is, to realize that it's probably the starter is when you've already realized that it's not the battery and it's not the alternator. So with that being said, that's what to do when your car doesn't start. You want to use these diagnostic tests to work your way down. You want to start off by checking the battery. Then you want to see if it's the alternator, which is number 2. Then you want to see if it's the starter. Battery number 1, alternator number 2, starter number 3. And if you do these tests, then you'll have a very, very, very good chance at finding out the most likely cause of why your car isn't starting. Once again, there are many different things that can cause your car not to start. These are just the 3 most likely reasons and causes. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe for more great car videos just like this one. And above all, please let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this method, and if you've had your car not start at some point, what was the reason that your car didn't start? Let me know in the comment section so we can share all of our opinions and we can get some options for the reasons why a car might not start. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.